Welcome to today's episode of the Obsessively Outspoken podcast. My name is Remington. I am your host. And today I have a very special guest, straight from Bronx, New York, Mark Saunders. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It's a complete honor, to be honest. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. So let's get started. You're from the Bronx, New York. Tell me what it was like growing up in the Bronx.
Growing up, it's a lot of group thinking, crabs in the barrel mentality. You don't really realize that until you get around a different group of people. Maybe that's not from your community. Growing up in the Bronx, it was repetitive. A lot of daunting activities. I don't just want to use this type of vocab, but it was tough, to say the least. You easily get railed in to what everybody else is doing. That naturally happens. And it's up to you to make those conscious decisions to sort of drift away and then distinctively remove yourself from those peers, per se, all those activities even. So it was tough, to say the least.
When was the first moment when you knew you wanted to pursue a career as an artist?
Wow. I never spoke about this in my music, no way, shape, or form. It started on the bus, believe it or not, on my way to school, freshman year in high school. I'm a huge Lil Wayne fan, huge. From a storytelling, lyricism aspect, not really everything else personal. I separate the art from the person. But just from an artistic standpoint, his wordplay, the way he word bends, even likes of Eminem even. I was on my way to school and I remember listening to Lil Wayne's The Drought 3. And just out of curiosity, I'm such a exploration type of person that I felt in my heart of hearts that I could do it. And then from that day forward, I had to be 12 or 13. I just started writing and writing. I didn't tell nobody. I would even go to school, and since we had metal detectors, we couldn't have phones. I would bring my lyrics that I wrote the previous night to school and tell people it was Lil Wayne's lyrics or Bow Wow, whoever was hot in that moment, just to sort of check temperature and see where I was at lyrically. But through the lens and cloak using other artists, Bass artists, Drake, whoever. These are Drake lyrics. Peep, check this out. And I'll recite it to people and get their opinions. That's how I started to build my confidence, to be honest.
Now, how did you go from writing to getting into the process of putting a project together? How did you get the producers? How did you get the concepts, what you want to write about? How did that come about?
I've always been a creative, outspoken person. A lot of people didn't believe it growing up, but people close to me. So when it comes to my mom or any close relatives, they would tell anybody that I was very outspoken and I had a mind of my own. People didn't believe it because I'm very to myself as well. I have to be familiar with you and accustomed to you in order to open up. So the creative side sort of came natural because I'm naturally just a composer. But then when it comes to recording, I'm also a perfectionist. So from 12 to 13, I didn't start recording until I was 18, 19. I put myself through this rigorous, I was head on after I decided I'm going to become a rapper at 12, 13. And I'm not proud of saying it, but I really put education to a back burner at that moment. And I started focusing on writing, every form of writing, storytelling, multiple syllables, homophones, anything you could think of. I really just started writing pages and pages of just strictly metaphors or strictly word plays and how can I extend this one word into 5 various forms. I just put myself through this training camp, to be honest, as a writer first before a recording artist and performer. And I think it's starting to show now more than ever.
Who did you connect with to say, hey, I need to get a project out? Can you help me put it together? What connections did you have in the Bronx at that time?
Even though I'm to myself, I know a lot of people People do gravitate to me. They open up to me. So I've always had avenues, to say the least. But when it comes to recording, nobody around me was rapping. Nobody. At this time, everybody's playing basketball, whether it's varsity, junior varsity, everybody's playing basketball. That was the focus. I'm pretty sure you've heard that tale time and time again. But I had this peer of mine named Khalil, and at this time, I never went anywhere by myself, regardless where it was. I've always had somebody. I depended on somebody, and I had to break this threshold where I was waiting on this peer that I just named to go record, and I was procrastinating, truthfully, but I was using him as a vessel and an excuse why I wasn't recording yet. And then I've finally reached that point where I had enough, where I just couldn't wait on nobody. So I researched that studio. It being Lord Itil, that's my engineer, recording engineer, my second brain, to be honest. That's the person I sort of go through to get approval. And that's where it all began. This had to be 2015, maybe 16. And from there, that's the last thing I could even ponder on of me depending on somebody. That was the beginning to the end. And from there, I just been off to the races, so I'll say.
First EP is The Black Canvas.
Yeah, right? blank canvas, correct.
Blank canvas, sorry.
Yeah.
And what was that process like, coming up with an EP and birthing your art to the world?
I remember like it was yesterday. At that time, I was still in school. Nobody knew I was rapping. There was rappers in high school, of course, gloating about what they was doing. Whether it was metrics wise or new videos, things like that. And at the moment, I had peers around me who knew what I was doing. Khalil, I'm gonna just keep referring to him, and he would sort of let me know how I was doing better metrically, even though it's not important, but how he really respected that I wasn't gloating about my numbers or anything to anybody. I was very, very private. So nobody knew what I was doing, but I was very, very like head on about rap at that point. And I was just all in. It felt amazing because everything just felt well overdue at that moment. I've had fast ideas. I still have 30, 40 project title names with concepts attached to them just to sort of gauge where I'm at in that moment artistically, whether I'm angry or I'm happy. There's just different tones that I can go in different avenues. And in that moment, I remember running it by one of my peers, and he wasn't sold on the idea of blank canvas, right? But to me, it was a fresh start. It was a rebirth. I went through so many different creative outlets, whether it was dancing, doing graffiti, playing video games, just numerous stuff, that it just seemed like a refresh to me, a reboot, if you may. And that's what that really encompassed. At the time, I was depressed. I was probably towards the end of depression. And that's what that project really encompassed the most to me. Finding myself within that depression and not running away from it, and finally being transparent to myself and the listeners that I can't really run from this no more. I just got to embrace it. Whether it's demons, I just finally got to embrace these things that I was running from.
But when I hear you speak, you sound like an old soul. Where would you attribute that to? Is there a person in your life, a parent, a mentor, somebody who you can say, or is it just you growing up?
Nah, I can't contribute it to myself. And that's not me just saying it. I contribute that not to a person, but to people, right? From when I was younger, my grandmother, or not even my grandmother, a lady that took me and my mom in like her own. And she, since young, instilled morals and ethics into me, and not to follow people, even though I did at times. But she instilled these traits in me that stay from then to now, just core values. And from there, I have uncles, I have friends. One thing maybe this is too much info, but I've always seeked older figures in my life, whether it's older brothers, friends who become brothers, who I claim are brothers, just because that void of an older figure, I like having mentors. I like having people around me who I can learn from, whether good or bad. I've had numerous examples, whether it's right outside my window or somebody right next door to me. And I take all that in, not with a grain of salt, but to the actual heart. And I like to sit down and register these moments or other people's experiences and just learn from them. So when you hear me speak, you hear somebody who went through depression and is in front of you no longer depressed. I would say, of course, I have those moments, but you are speaking to somebody who lived through other people, but not just that, lived through depression, which can very much so humble some people, depending on how you receive that dark time.
Tell me the difference between the blank canvas that was released in 2017
Yeah.
and the Ugly Duckling EP that was released this year. What's the difference between those two projects?
Okay. Blank Canvas was really, before that project even came out, I had references of me trying to play with my voice. I didn't know how to use my voice as an instrument. And you could hear my voice peaking at times. And of course, it's more raw than anything because I'm still very fresh in that moment. The Ugly Duckling is more refined. And if before I was a switchblade, I look at myself now more as a scalpel incision, just very sharp. I know how to play with my words more so than ever, word bend and manipulate words and twist and turn my tongue. It's just a refined packaging of Blank Canvas, actually. It's very, very similar, but it's a mature version.
Both of these projects were released independently, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any aspirations at some point in time in your career to be signed, or do you prefer the independent route?
There's no real aspirations. Um, I aspire to be the greatest version of myself, first and foremost. But as far as aspirations to be signed, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not looking for it because that's where my sadness is going to begin. That's where these dark portals that you sort of, once you expect and you don't receive, you could go down the dark path. So I'm not really looking for it. I'm just going to work and work my ass off. Excuse my language, but I'm going to work extremely hard and smart. First smart and then hard. And if it comes, it comes. And at this moment, it has. It's came to my door since probably my first year. The opportunities come, but I also know my worth, and I'm not going to stray away from that.
I have to say I'm proud of you because you actually talk like an artist who was signed before, got a really bad deal, got screwed out of the deal, and now they know better. But you haven't even gone through that process, but you're so aware of some of the industry pitfalls. Once again, it's not just knowledge of self, standing back and looking at other people, how they fell.
Exactly. That is more than anything, that's being a student of the game. And one thing, me and my best friend, or my brother, his name's Damien. I'm gonna do a lot of name dropping that you're gonna hear also in later music. We've watched, when I tell you, if Rick Ross would go on his media run and he did the tri-state and he did LA, I would watch 12 Rick Ross interviews of him repeating the same thing. But maybe 1 minute he had a gear switch where he just gave a gem per se. And I retained that. But I say that to say I watched every single interview for maybe 4 years from Power 105, Hot 97, Sway, Jack Thriller, anything you could think of hip hop fluid, I was definitely there at the forefront watching it. So this comes from just hearing numerous stories. And after a while, one thing you could believe in, if you don't believe in words and numbers, is patterns. And you can't really don't think you're no different than the pattern that can happen to you, because it's happened to numerous other people. But that's why I've watched a lot of interviews, time and time again.
Talk to me about your latest single that dropped earlier this month, Platform 333 with Mickey Fax. And Mickey Fax was on this podcast, as you know, a little while back. So big shout out to big shout out to Mickey for doing that.
Absolutely, that's the God.
How did you two how did that connection come about? And what was that process like? And talk to me about the concept.
Yeah, the concept, the song is, believe it or not, the song is something I had for a while. I was sitting on it, just waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity. How would I want to package it, right? The most tedious thing in this is, how do I redefine what I just did a month ago or a week ago? How do I make that fresh again? So with that being said, I sat on that record for a while, and one thing about me, I revise songs for years, months, and just keep tweaking it. And it came a time where my engineer, right, his name's Lord, I give it all to him. I hold him up in high regard. And this man, I guess Mickey came to his studio one day, right? He found him just like how I did through Google, found the Bronx studio, and actually went there and built a rapport with my engineer. He didn't tell me until I got there. And I only seen it as an opportunity. Not to say I'm an opportunist, but I'm also looking to grow within this, right? And to me, I grew up hearing about Mickey Fax. I'm from the Bronx. He's from the Bronx. We're not that far away from each other, actually, probably 5-6 blocks. So me being in middle school, that's when Mickey first had his outburst into the scene. And we was always talking about this guy named Mickey Fax. So to me, it was full circle. I was just hoping he would like the song, which he ended up loving. And we went from there. Now, when it comes to the concept, Platform 333, it was titled something else, just like a lot of other projects. But of course, it's about being peer pressured within your environment to do certain things that I've witnessed with my bare eyes, that I've been a part of, because you're being peer pressured, right? To fit in with the in crowd. And it just so happens, if you listen word for word, lyric for lyric, I play as somebody getting peer pressured. I see somebody around the corner, which is my last line, and I say I'm going to basically run down on this person. In another terminology, that's me saying I'm going to go cause a altercation with this person. And Mickey plays the character that I'm running toward to engage with. And that's the whole theme of the song. But the platform comes from the movie, right? Because I already had the concept of the video of what I wanted. So with me, the song title would have never been as cohesive without the visual. So after I got the song done with him, I was headstrong on, hey, I appreciate this moment and what you're doing for me. Of course, as a rising artist, as an upcoming artist from the same city, same state, but I need to get this visual done as well. And I hope you respect that, which he did.
Mickey is very big on collaboration, so I could see how that was easy once you two came together and built a rapport.
Definitely.
That song and video is crazy. Let me just say, it's nuts.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Are there any other artists in the future that you may want to collab with, or you have like a bucket list of features that you may want to do?
Bucket list, yeah. I have other features in the stash, of course, that will shock people. Again, it's just about moments for me and picking those spots. Because it is about elevation, right? Not stepping stones, but elevation to get to the next level. So I do have certain features in the tuck waiting to gear up. But when it comes to artists, the top of the list is Lil Wayne, right? For me, even if I had the opportunity tomorrow, I wouldn't, because I want to get to a certain level where I feel that's sort of embedded and necessary and earned, right? But on a more realistic level, for right now, I would love to work with who can I think of? Earl Sweatshirt. Just to I like omnipresent music, omniscient music, dark. But at the same time, I love Joey Badass and artists like Smino, if you ever heard of them, Dreamville. There's many different artists, rock music. There's different genres too. I'm a rapper, of course. I'm a rapper. I'll never stray away from that. But I grew up on other genres as well. And I would love to work with those artists using those sounds as well.
I could definitely tell you have other influences
Yeah.
outside of hip hop. Why don't we talk this into existence? Why don't we say a future collab, you and Eminem and you and Wayne? Go ahead.
Without jinxing myself, what I really had interest in since I was young is a song with J. Cole and Drake. I don't know why. Obviously, everybody says Drake, and on this song, I just want them to do ad-libs. Believe it or not. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing that I had since I was younger. But
Come
I
on,
think
Mark. You gotta tell me some more. That's interesting. Why ad libs and not a verse? Because you know J. Cole is gonna flame all over that song. So, well, why just the ad libs?
Nobody could really tell my story better than me, right? You're just there to accompany that story. And just per se, I might be mentioning J. Cole or Drake within certain lines. So the ad-libs will only strengthen or heighten what I'm saying, whether it's reminiscing about certain times or taking myself back to that moment and speaking from that perspective. That was the idea of the song. I sort of spoiled it, but a verse would be dope. But that idea that I have, I think, is even better. It's more special to me. It's more sentimental because where I was when I first thought about it.
Well, we just spoke it into existence.
Definitely.
Now I know
we'll get there.
For sure. Now I know you're pretty private. I know you keep your social media presence to a minimum.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That's literally my personality. That is my personality. It is not me trying to fake the funk. It is not me trying to play this enigma. It's really me, wholeheartedly. However, me even creating an Instagram is me putting myself out there. Me showing myself on camera is me putting myself out there. Me speaking right now to you, not to say it's me trying to belittle the platform, never. But these things are stuff I never done before, right? I got these opportunities before, but I just wasn't ready as a person. I wasn't there. I didn't have a glow about me, or I wasn't in the right state of mind, right? So what you see on Instagram is literally me putting myself out there. As little as it may seem, to me, less is more sometimes. And in this case, it's working, right? Me just being myself and not trying to force myself on people.
When we talk about other influences, we know the hip hop influences. What are some of the other genres of that influence you to be such a eclectic artist that you are today?
Where do I start? Childhood, I could think of. It starts with video games too, like Guitar Hero. Me growing up playing Guitar Hero, right, with friends. These games weren't games that I owned, but peers of mine did, and I'll be over the house so often playing these games. At a young age, you start to retain these sounds, right? You have a brain that's steadily developing, and you're impressionable, right? So at these young ages, you sort of adapt to whatever's around you. So wrestling, Guitar Hero, even shows, maybe Zoe 101, Ned Declassified, that played soft rock. These things are naturally embedded in me, and I don't shy away from it. A lot of it growing up, I didn't listen to music growing up personally. My family did, from soul music, Janet Jackson, um, any R&B that was popular. My family was very, very radio driven. I grew up radio driven. Even when I first got my first radio, I listened to only Hot 97 and 105.1. And I contribute those times to why my music is what it is today. Because even though it's word bending and there's depth to it, there's also replay value there, and a bounce that to me makes music what it is, right? Music isn't a seminar, but it's something you enjoy. And that's where I think the best of both worlds, from my elder radio time to me listening to underground hip hop later down the line when I became a student, blends very, very well. And it creates this great composition.
I hear a lot of consciousness in your music, especially songs like Mr. Saunders off of the Ugly Duckling EP.
Right.
What are your thoughts about some of these recent events, like with Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia or Young Dolph being gunned down in his hometown? Rest in peace to both of those gentlemen. What are your thoughts on that? Now that you have a voice through your music platform, what do you think?
Man, I think it's a pattern that we can't really ignore, right? Where we're from, police. I'm not a politician. I'm not a civil rights leader. However, what I will say with that, we need our own to police us. And I know the police force, they have their own policies, but that's the route that we should best go at and with. Of course, that doesn't pertain to young Dolph. That's something different. That's more street ethical. But I think it starts with the police force, right? And us policing ourselves, not through autonomy, but through more so just having people of color more so on the force in our districts. But then when it comes to situations like young Dolph, we have to be aware of our surroundings and that our once habitats aren't our habitats no more, right? Because there's people out there that want what you have. They might love you, but it's okay to love you from afar, or for you to love them from afar. And I've accepted that a long time ago. Just seeing tragics like Dolph or XXX, and the list goes on, with us artists. So I just think we shouldn't be in these areas first and foremost, as much as we would want to, right? And if we do, don't avoid taking the necessary precaution, because we have families that depend on us, not just mentally but physically, right? Your presence is worth more than anything else. I could say more on that, but again, I don't want to get too deep on that.
Let's talk about the mini series that you had on Instagram called #Came a long way to go. Talk to me about that.
Came about, again, I'm a SoundCloud baby. That was my stomping ground, right? That was my training camp for me personally. A lot of the songs were rough drafts, me looking back, but it was all about, more so than anything, quantity over not literacy quality, but just recording quality. I was okay with putting out something that wasn't the tightest flow wise or delivery, because I knew early on people will accept me for what I'm giving them, considering I'm new. So I really took advantage of that, right? It's my first song. People will say naturally, I love this. You could do this better. I'm going to stick through this because I know you will improve. My biggest thing was just listen to what I'm saying, not how I'm saying it, because I will get there. There will be ascension there sooner or later. And exactly what I thought eventually happened. right? On SoundCloud, I grew a pretty large fan base on the platform from 2016, 15 to 2019. That 3 year run, I probably released probably 7 projects within three years. I really released a project every quarter. And I built a fan base that's still finding out that I have an Instagram, which why when I converted to IG, it made the transition so easy because I already had a base somewhere. I didn't start just completely fresh, right? I created this fan base at SoundCloud, the supporting group. So once I transferred over, they came along with me and they still are. And to me, it's a beautiful thing. And they came a long way. It's really putting an emphasis on those old songs from back then that I know nobody heard. How do I again repackage this product and make it fresh for the people, knowing Instagram is a visual platform, right? I could be wrong, but it started out just pictures, right, to my knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So me pushing out just audio wouldn't really do much for what I'm looking for in return. So, hey, why not just make 60 seconds, 50 seconds, mini short clips that's very intriguing and engaging with the viewer and just go from there. Let's just keep redoing this and see what happens from it. And to me, that was probably the best thing I've done on Instagram so far, is the mini visuals and being consistent with that.
You have a song that I really like. I think it's called Philosophy.
Of SoundCloud Rap?
Rap, yeah.
Yeah. I can sort of take it from here. That song is 3 songs in one, right? It's a music video. It's actually a song called one of the songs is called SoundCloud Rapper. Another song is called Pieces of an Introvert. And the other song is called, man, it's the name of a philosopher that I was reading on heavy at that time, but it starts with an N, which is where the philosophy comes from. The of comes from the Pieces of an Introvert song. And then SoundCloud Rap comes from the song SoundCloud Rapper. You mesh that together, you get philosophy of SoundCloud Rap. So there you sort of have it. I think people really gravitated to that one.
How much of these videos are your vision?
Everything.
So you come up with the concept, everything.
It's my favorite part, to be honest. Creating this and then putting it out there under my name. It brings the most joy to me. Going through the rigorous process of starting from just an idea, building on that, maturation happening, and then you creating this full lens scope that's multi-layered, right? That has depth to it, that has double entendres even within the visuals. That brings me joy. Just the whole creative process brings me happiness.
How has rap changed to you? How has the culture changed from the first time you started in 2015, 2016 to right now?
To me, what's synonymous to rap is the NBA for me. And nobody wants to admit it, but it's about time somebody says it. As rap, as a culture, I think even the lowest tier rapper is just as good as a mid tier to high tier rapper in the 80s, per se, the beginning of time. I just think we're further advanced when it comes to flow. Anybody you could think of, the Migos to a Pharaoh Monch, right? Like these new age, even though he's an elder statesman in this game now, he's an OG, he's still young within hip hop to me. And
I think so too.
Yeah. And just how far we came with rap, how complex it is, even for radio songs. There's a science to it. I think we just hit certain strides that even later generations are going to be further better than where we're at now. Same thing with basketball. Yeah, but I love the current state of rap. Love it. Literally listen to it every single day. This is my thing.
What's next for Mark Saunders in the near future? Because it seems like there's no ceiling for you,
Yeah,
and not just music, but I'm talking about just broad. What
yeah.
you see yourself?
Doing a lot more of this, putting myself out there, putting my face out there, right? Letting people see my facial expressions. And of course, over time, I'll get more comfortable. You'll see, not to say you're not seeing the real me, but you see a more comfortable Mark in time with anything else. Just like anything else with anybody. I just want to put myself out there more. I want people to get an idea of who I am and what I stand for, what I'm looking to do, and how much I love rap, how much I really love this shit. Excuse my language, but how much I really do embody myself in this culture, and why I'm gonna get the fruits of my labor that's coming.
I really appreciate you taking this time out to talk to me. This has been great. I wish you much success. I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
hear more projects that you have coming out in the future.
Sure.
I'm keeping my eye out. Is there anything that you want to say to your fans or just the viewership in general before we conclude?
First, I just want to say forever doubt it, right? That's something I push. That's my mantra. Um, I would like to sort of elaborate on that. Why do I say it? It's because no matter how high you get up the ladder, no matter where you go, what conference room you walk into, there's somebody who's going to doubt your idea. And that's what it means, right? It's not a negative, derogatory phrase that some people might take it as. It's very positive and enlightening, to just keep striving and keep pushing. Although there's going to be somebody doubting you, that's okay. That's a part of the process, right? So I just want to say forever doubt it, and look out for what I got coming, because I'll be excited if I was down.
What is your idea of success?
It depends on what scope. Success to me is happiness. Success to me is maintaining happiness and just inclining, whether it's at a steady pace, which is what I prefer, right? Because longevity comes attached to that, in my opinion. I could be wrong. You could disagree with me. But to me, longevity, right? A steady incline, not the elevator, but taking the stairs. To me, that's success, step by step. Actually building up your calf muscles. So when you do reach the top, you understand what it took to get there. That's success to me.
Let the people know where they can find you on social media and where's your music where they can stream and purchase.
So you could find me on your nearest streaming platform in your ears. You can find me inside your optic lens right now, on YouTube as well. The Instagram is instagram.com/Mark Saunders _. Same for my Twitter. I'm barely on Twitter, barely on Instagram, but I'm on Instagram more than anything else. And then YouTube, just search Mark Saunders. Again, visually, I'm realizing I'm becoming not just a rap artist, not just a rapper, but a visual artist as well. And I'm loving it, for what it's doing, how it's resonating, and what I can tell through subliminally placing certain objects or patterns or colors inside these $1 million, million word still shots / motion pictures. So just look out for me, Mark Saunders _.
I could definitely see you behind the camera, but I could also see you writing the script as well.
Yeah, I've had I know we're closing out. I have a project called Journal of a Mad Black Boy that is literally two tracks. One is called A Table of Context, and the second track is just called Pages, right? And probably 80% of it is all dialogue. So I have wrote a script before, and it's in music project form. So I have done it, and I'm looking to do some more of it, to be honest.
So that's interesting. Is it like is it a musical?
It's not a musical. Um,
You don't have to give too much, Mark, if you're trying to keep.
yeah,
Yeah.
nah, it's not a musical at all. It's actually my most, I think, going left project, right? When people go on SoundCloud, they expect to hear just music, but it's a lot of dialogue. And the basis is just everything from the very beginning in 2009 to around 2016, all behind the scenes, what I was going through while I was making projects or going through certain relationships and the pitfalls of it. It was really me just putting myself out there, not just on a musical level where you could cloak yourself behind the beat, but just straight dialogue. It was the most enjoyable too, out of anything else, because I really challenged myself, which I enjoy to do.
I'm really excited to hear what you have coming because you're what hip hop needs. And I say that because you just said you love challenging yourself, number one, and you seem very conceptual, number two. And you mentioned Pharoah Monch. One of the things that I liked about him is that not only is he like one of the fierce lyricists ever to walk planet Earth,
absolutely,
but he has a lot of conceptual songs like Gun Drawers and the album Equinox is one of my favorites, and him and Prince Poe just have so many concepts in that album. I think we need to get back to that. We need to get back to Nas, I Give You Power, Eminem, and I love those type of songs, and I just don't think we get them often enough. But when I talk to you, you seem like that's your bag. Like you love.
That's my bag.
Yeah, you love.
That's my thing, bro. That is what drills it home for me. While I'm on the mic to say something, right? It doesn't have to be always putting my fist up or something like that, where it's cliche. But I want to say something while I'm out there, something worth saying, without just spitting pure tarnished verbiage. I want to have something to say. And just one tidbit. Pharoah Monch is a god MC, right? But I also want to say, I know the perception is Mark is a lyricist. I don't view myself as that. For anybody watching, I don't. I view myself as a rapper. And to me, rapping consists of literature at a refined level. And that's just what I do. So if anything, I view myself as a rapper, not a lyricist, a rapper, not a storyteller, a rapper, right? Rap is rhythm and poetry. Mm-hmm. To me, rap is rhythm, art, poetry. That's what it is to me.
Do you think lyricist is too boxy of a term?
I wouldn't say it's too boxy.
Do you think it's like backpack? Do you think it's like...
Nah.
Okay.
Not at all. I think backpack and all that stuff is a matter of sound, right? Instrumentation. To me, that's what it really means. It's not really content. It's just sound.
Right.
And how much I'm willing to go another direction, but also do backpack sort of subscribes to the idea. I'm just not just a lyricist. I'm just a poet speaker.
And I'll be honest, I don't think people who listen to your music will think that you are a one-dimensional artist. You have you can hear the variety and the extent background in your music. So
that's love. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I like the fact that you're making a conscious effort to get out there, get your face out there some more, and I know you're going to do well. You have a vibe about you, and you have a head on your shoulder. You understand as an artist comes responsibility to say something of substance, not just rapping just to rap. Right. So I already know you're going to do well. And I already said much success to you, and you keep, hanging with the right people and collaborating with the right people. And I'm going to be proud to say I was one of the. Well, I don't know how many interviews you've done, But
this is the first.
really,
Definitely the first. Yeah, this is the first. Again, timing's everything. You know, for me, I think it was time.
well, that means even more to me that one day I can say well, now I could say I'm the first to interview Mark Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
All the best to you, and we'll talk again soon.
Indeed. Thank you, Remington.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mark. All right. Peace.
Peace.
GAWDJOOD, the young God, Allah, praise Allah. Yeah, came a long way to go, you know. The time and the status on status up low. Hope you take it young God. Building cases on the case of the like me case. The young God, modern hustler, scheming on his next feast. Inside the neck of the woods, we forced to take a lot of shit. Turn around, devour the exact feces. I bank on my art and the art of war like Medici. And I ain't cry. Where the leech be? Where the leech be? Where do the leech be? They are concealed in plain sight. Lead me to handle my due diligence. Monkey see what monkey do. Quality over quantity. Niggas gas each other and hear the fume. There's no rule book to making it past the status quo. Quasimodo flow, imperio. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Hold, I'm a hustler, baby. And I just want you to know that I demand you labor, fresh direct employee, delivering through commercial, building, construct brick by brick. Not a snake on my